As world much of women, we are interested in the process of transnational corporations on women's rights, because we are an international movement that we integrate women of all diversities. And in our struggles, we realize that women are the ones who are mostly affected by the impacts caused by transnational corporations. There are lots of violations of women's rights, and that results from the impunity of the transnational corporations and the architecture of power that has been giving these corporations this power to enter into territories and take control of the state and take control of community power as well. And that is creating lots of violations of human rights, but particularly women's rights. So we feel like it's part of our responsibility to bring the voices of the women who are on the ground, fighting and resisting to these forms of capitalist oppression, and to claim the sovereignty of the women, of the communities, of the people as a whole. So we feel like being in this process of transnational corporations and human rights process of the treaty, it gives us a possibility a possibility of giving visibility of all these violations that are happening on the ground. And actually, as world much of women, we work in different regions of the world. And through our work, we are able to get connected with different women who are being affected in many different ways. And mainly, the most recent challenges is the level of militarization that is causing criminalization of women and other social activists who are really fighting to defend their land, to defend their water, to defend their natural resources, to defend their community, to defend food sovereignty. And we feel like it's important to speak out and tell to the world what these multinational corporations are doing. And when we come to space like this, we connect with other social movements who are, facing the same battle in different spaces, in different countries. And when we come to spaces like this, it gives us much strength, much power to put on the table our demands. And some of those demands is that we want the treaty to contemplate women's rights. We want the voices of women to be reflected in this treaty. We want to be part of the collectivity that is fighting these impunities. We want the treaty to be able to stop the power that the corporations are using to take control of natural resources, to occupy territories. Actually, at the World March of Women, we call these new forms of colonialism. So we want to fight against these forms of colonialism, these forms of imperialism. And we want to defend our land, we want to defend our territories, we want to defend our waters, our forestry. We want to defend the power of our communities to make decisions about their processes of development. We want our communities to define what kind of development model they want and what development means for our communities. We do not want a replication of all these forms of organizing the economy that the Western countries have been taking, for centuries, which are causing the climate change, which are causing the global warming. And, we want to fight against those false solutions which are being proposed, the mercantilization of nature. We want to fight against this capture of our states. We want to reclaim democracy. And one of the aspects that we are debating a lot here is how we can build again this solidarity, not only among women, but among cross nations. How can we enhance this capacity of local communities, of different communities, to work together and to build what can be the solution for themselves, because we know that in general communities, indigenous communities and rural communities, they have been taking care of land, they have been taking care of natural resources, they have been, you know, organizing their own systems of production, of sharing their own the result of their productions, sharing seeds and taking care of these seeds so that they can be replicated and they can be sustained as something that can last long and be replicated in for the future generations. As women, we know that we are always exploited. Our bodies, our labor, the sexual division of labor put women in that responsibility of taking care of the reproduction of society, reproductive economy, which is the one that is sustaining life. We want that to continue to be important, to be considered important. We want that to claim that reproductive work, it's important. And, you know, the economy of the country should consider that part of the economy as a very important key element to sustain life. But more than that, we want that women can have access to decision making on how they want to use their labor, how they want to organize their communities, how they want to organize their decision-making processes. We want these democracy processes to be decided by the local communities and be part of what we want to organize as countries, as nations. As World March of Women, we join other social movements to say that this treaty, it has to be not something to be on the shelf, on the papers. We want it to be something that is going to give and to enhance the power, the sovereignty of the communities. We want the future generations to come up with a solid trust that, you know, we have left something important and good for the continuity of life on the earth. We want women to feel like they are part of this world, of this humanity, and we cannot continue having these multinational corporations taking control, taking over, and in situation of impunity. We want justice, we want climate justice, we want reparations, and we want respect that comes with freedom, with justice. We want to have the power to make decisions on what we want for us, what we want for our communities, what we want for our future generation. And that has to be in a collectivity, in this transnational solidarity. So it is very important that all of us, we can go back to our communities and mobilize and do political education to help our communities to understand the struggle, to understand the challenges that they are going through, and to understand that that is not a challenge that they are facing locally, but that is part of a capitalist system. It's a part of the patriarchy that has been exploiting all of us and creating this system of accumulation, the system of imperialism, the system of colonialism. We want to claim the power for our communities, the power for ourselves. As World March of Women, we always say we will be on the march until all women are free.